by congratulating the Honourable Gentleman for Aberdeen North and South Down in securing this debate. I hope, Ms Clark, you won't rule me out of order by just starting my remarks by wishing my father, Mervyn Wright, a very happy 70th birthday today. He's not a fisherman, Ms Clark, but he is my dad, so I do wish him very many happy returns. He does eat fish. The Honourable Gentleman is quite right. In my contribution, I want to concentrate on the concerns that fishermen in Hartlepool have on the future viability of their industry. My constituency has had a fishing industry for the best part of 800 years. Generations of Hartlepool families have farmed the seas, building up a knowledge of conditions, changes in stock levels and fish movements within the North Sea that are second to none. And I would suggest, and I think the chair of the Select Committee said, that combination of local knowledge, as opposed to top-down, bureaucratic, often not even considering the scientific evidence, should be used alongside technology and empirical evidence to inform fisheries policy. Now, Hartlepool's fishing fleet comprises largely of the under 10 metre vessels, and the fishermen in my constituency are rightly concerned that developments over the last few years are making it even more difficult for them to make a living from the seas. Their concerns are based predominantly on two factors: the specific makeup of their industry, particularly the makeup of ownership, and the common fisheries policy, which is hindering the long-term sustainability of a vibrant fishing fleet. Let me first start with the makeup of the industry. The under 10 metre boats, which, as I've said, virtually comprise the whole of the fishing fleet in Hartlepool, make up about 75% of the total fleet in the UK, but are only allowed to catch about 4% of the annual quota. The rest of the quota is given to a small handful of large organisations. Now, Ms Clark, as in other industries like banking or energy, the actions of larger producers and powerful vested interests are distorting the dynamics of this industry and undermining the ability of the Hartlepool fishermen to remain viable. Overfishing of the seas were not caused by the under 10 metre fleet, but the small proportion of the quota allocated to them is having a hugely disproportionate impact upon them. Now, Ms Clark, Hartlepool fishermen play by the rules. They farm the seas sustainably, and they think of the long term, because their fathers, grandfathers and great-grandfathers fished in the North Sea before them, and they actually want their sons and daughters, their grandsons and their great-grandsons to follow them and do the same. They don't want to undermine the industry or the chances of the next generation. But the nature of the industry and the punitive share of the quota allocated to them means that they are, at the moment, barely scraping a living. Now, I know the Minister, who does, to his credit, understand the industry, has looked at the matter of increasing the allocation of quotas to the smaller vessels. And I also appreciate the immense challenges and difficulties of this. How do you take quota from organisations who have a legal right to them? But this is of huge significance to the fishing fleet in my constituency, and so I would be grateful, on the back of what the Chairman of the Select Committee was saying earlier on in her contribution, if the Minister could outline to the House today his current thinking as to how he will push forward this agenda. Now, Ms Clark, the second element I want to concentrate on, which concerns my fishermen, is the common fisheries policy, which naturally dominates any such debate of this nature. I do think, and from listening to the contributions so far in this debate, I do think there is consensus that there's no long-term future for our fishing industry if the CFP system continues to be a top-down, bureaucratic, clumsy, blunt and inefficient tool. For a policy which is supposed to be based upon a long-term sustainable view, based upon scientific evidence, it seems to me that it's remarkably short-term in its scope, having the annual rigmarole of quota setting, which does nothing to embed long-term thinking into the industry. So I'd be grateful, on the back of what's been said about regionalism, which again seems to be a common consensus here, I'd be interested in the Minister's views on multi-year agreements, in which, if I just finish this point, in which quotas can be set within a broad framework of, say, a 3-year period. Does he agree that that would provide more certainty for the industry rather than this current annual negotiating round, which does not, as I said, provide a long-term and sustainable view for the industry? Before I give way to my honourable friend, I just want to ask another question. Would it not be best for the EU to provide that longer-term objective for the sustainability of our fish stocks, whilst allowing the manner of implementation to be devised and then adapted wherever possible at a regional and local level? Shouldn't this be done at a much more localised level? This would allow people like my Hartlepool fishermen with strong local knowledge to take a more flexible and adaptable approach, which in turn sustains the economics of the industry whilst being sensitive to the environment and future fish stocks. I'll give way.
Giving way. Doesn't what the honourable ladies on the opposition, on the government benches, have said about the rogue behaviour of Spain in particular underline the problem with the common fisheries policy and the apparent weakness and failure of the European Union to have any control over what they do.
I've tried to speak, Ms Clark, in the annual fisheries debate to put forward the concerns of my constituents, and I remember, seems many years ago now actually, addressing the concern that my fishermen had, which is Spanish and French fishermen coming into the North Sea, the British waters, and what is essentially illegally operating. And the level of enforcement seemed to be virtually non-existent when it came to that. And I do think we need to have a more robust review of this. Another thing I want to mention with regards to sort of clumsy and top-down initiatives is the days at sea that are allocated. Now, my understanding is that the EU plans yet again to cut days at sea under the cod recovery plan, even though cod stocks in the North Sea have estimated through scientific evidence to have almost tripled in the last 6 or 7 years. Would the Minister agree that we should be avoiding this somewhat simplistic tool of days at sea, which grossly distorts the economies of the industry and again embeds that short-term view? Shouldn't we instead be thinking of a policy response which emphasises technological modifications to fishing gear, as well as having better use of technology and scientific evidence to see, for example, real-term closures of specific fishing areas in the North Sea where stocks seem under threat? I'd be interested in the Minister's views on that. Ms Clark, as I mentioned earlier, in conclusion, Hartlepool has had a fishing industry for 800 years and it's provided a living for many, many generations of my constituents. The hard and dangerous nature of fishing the North Sea has embedded itself into the culture and the character of the Hartlepool people. Frankly, it has made us who we are. The fishing industry in Hartlepool and across the North Sea, and indeed around the UK waters, must be sustained for generations to come, and we must protect both the stock for the long term and the economic future of the fishermen who farm those stocks.
Well,